Hello witches, I am High Priestess Autumn Venus. Today is October 30th, All Hallows Eve. This is day 2 of the 3 days of celebrating Samhain with me, High Priestess Autumn Venus. Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. Welcome to this live broadcast. I'm happy to have you here as we celebrate the largest celebration, the largest Sabbath on our calendar. Tomorrow is the Witches' New Year, known as Samhain. Samhain is when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, so it's easier to communicate with loved ones and past that have predeceased you. So I'm excited that tomorrow is the Witches' New Year. It's a time for witches to start all over again. It's a time for witches to bring things to completion. It's a time for witches to be victorious. It's a time for witches to recognize, to understand that being a witch means that you are a powerhouse. Being a witch means that you are a powerhouse. You are the dominant breed. That's the truth. That is the truth. Witches really is all that in a bag of chips. Witches are the best. October is the time for witches. October is the time for witches. October is my favorite month, even though my birthday is next month. I love October. I love October because we have Halloween and we have Samhain. So tonight, October 30th, is part 2 of celebrating this largest Sabbath, my favorite Sabbath, Samhain. So let's get right into it. There are a lot of correspondences to Samhain, and I'm going to just break them all the way down for you. When it comes to the colors of Samhain, we have seen these colors before in decorations. Those colors are orange, black, white, gold. I think that's it. Orange, black, gold, and white. Why gold? Because witches are solid gold. Witches are a powerhouse. That's why we include gold as a color correspondence for Samhain. We have orange and black as corresponding colors for Samhain because orange represents the leaves changing to the color of orange. Black represents the longer nights that are finally here. We see that it gets dark now around 4 o'clock. We see now that the leaves are really starting to change color, and that color just so happens to be orange. I love autumn. Autumn is my favorite season. Autumn, I have always felt, is the time when witches come alive. Really come alive. Really are their best selves. I love autumn. I love autumn. I wish it was autumn all year long. I wish it was autumn all year long. But it's not. So we just enjoy autumn for when it is most abundant in the month of October and maybe late September. The foods that correspond with Samhain is, of course, the pumpkins, turnips, corn, apple, and pears. These are all fruits and vegetables that are in abundance. You know, lots of people go apple picking in late September, early October. We know that pumpkins of all kinds of pumpkins are in abundance in October. Baby pumpkins. Pumpkins can be a lots of different colors. I've seen pumpkins that are white. I've seen pumpkins that have bumps on them. Yeah, pumpkins come in a lot of different ways. A little bit strange, but it's still a pumpkin. A pumpkin is a type of squash. Before we started to carve faces into pumpkins, we used to use turnips. When it comes to pumpkins, pumpkins can grow anywhere on earth except Antarctica. It's too cold there. So pumpkins can grow anywhere in the world except Antarctica because it's just too cold. The symbols that correspond with Samhain is pomegranates. Pomegranates, let me tell you something very quickly. When it comes to pomegranates can be used as an agent, as a replacement for red ink. If a spell calls for you writing in red ink and you don't have red ink, you can use the juice of a pomegranate as a replacement. So the symbol for pomegranate can be used as an ink replacement. Other things are cinnamon, sage, mugwort, what else? Lavender and rosemary. Mugwort, you might have to go to a witch shop to find. You might have to go to a witch shop to find lavender. But of course, rosemary, cinnamon, sage, not white sage. I'm talking about the sage you use to cook. I know that people have a lot of controversy about using white sage, saying, oh, unless you are a Native American, you should not use white sage. I believe you should use white sage if you don't take more than your fair share. Sage is, of course, not white sage, but cooking sage is available in the grocery store. Rosemary, cinnamon, also available in the grocery store. So these are herbs that are primarily associated, correspond with Samhain. I will say it again. They are cinnamon, sage, mugwort, lavender, and rosemary. Rosemary is a great herb if you are cooking steak or really want flavor. If you really want flavor in your food, use rosemary. If you really want to spice things up, use cinnamon. But of course, just a little help with cinnamon. You don't want to use too much cinnamon because too much cinnamon can actually kill you. So be careful with cinnamon. The crystals or stones that are corresponding with Samhain is onyx and obsidian. Am I saying that right? Obsidian. It's spelled Obsidian. You know, stones that are black. So you might see witches using these two stones. And of course, don't forget, we can use clear quartz crystal if we don't have those stones. Why? Because clear quartz crystal can take the place of any crystal that you do not have. Samhain is the new year for witches. It's the new year. It's Witchtober. It's the season of the witch coming full circle on the 31st of October. The nights will very quickly get longer and winter will be here before you even know it. I've said this before. Winter in New York is cold. Winter in New York is unbearable. Winter in New York is bad, you know. When we have snowstorms in New York, it shuts down almost everything because New York is a metropolis. So the winters in New York can be very harsh. So on Samhain, this may be a great time if you are the type of witch. It's a great time to pay off debt that you are putting on the back burner, knowing that you have to pay. is when our old things are fixed, old things are donated to someone who has better use of it. What else? On Samhain, our houses are cleaned out like it is spring cleaning, because it's a brand new year. October 31st is a brand new year for witches. Your houses are clean from top to bottom. Your houses, witches, are clean top to bottom. Top to bottom, your houses are clean to ensure that the bad energy does not follow you into November. The very next day is November 1st. So yeah, witches need to clean their houses top to bottom to not bring in negative energy, bad energy on November 1st. I have always said that October goes by way too fast. October goes by way too fast. I don't like that. I don't like that October goes by so fast. I wish it could always be October. But then if it was always October, my birthday would never come in November. But I like October. I like October. I love the energy of October. I love the supernatural experience of October. October 31st is a day when the dead are honored, our loved ones, our ancestors, our past that have predeceased us. It's a time to honor the dead. October 31st is the time to honor the dead. But it's also a reminder, witches, and this is very important, it's also a reminder to live your best life. Why? Because it's your life. Your life is your life. I feel like that's a message for a witch right now. Your life is your life. All of it. Your life is your life. All of it. You are a individual. One person. One person. Not two. Even if you are a twin, you are still an individual. It's important to live your life to the best that you can, because that is what your loved ones that have passed away before you would want you to do. Your loved ones that have passed away before you would not want you crying all the time. Just crying and falling over. I understand that grief takes time, but then sometimes it's not grief anymore. It's just you being a crybaby. I know some people say, oh, take all the time you want to grieve. Don't let yourself become a crybaby. Crying all the time like, damn, you crying a whole lot, aren't you? But let me just say this also. You are not obligated to make the dead, your ancestors, your loved ones, your pets, proud of you, but you are obligated to let dead things fall like the leaves on the trees. You are obligated to allow dead things fall to the ground from the trees. Remember, autumn in general is a time to let things go. To really let things go so that you can receive the goddess's best. You can't receive what's best coming from the goddess if you are holding on to the past. You can't, you won't. You simply won't. You know, I find this to be so beautiful because just like the changing foliage, just like the changing leaves, you two witches are a masterpiece. You see how beautiful it looks outside when the leaves start to change color? You two are a masterpiece, witches. You two witches are a powerhouse. Just like the foliage you see outside your window or when you go outside, it's a masterpiece. You two witches are a masterpiece. You two witches are a masterpiece. That's it. That's the truth. Communicating with the dead on Samhain. Listen very carefully, okay? Because I feel like this is going to be a very important part of this live broadcast. When you decide to communicate with the dead on tomorrow night, the 31st of October, I suggest that you do not host a seance or use a Ouija board or use a spirit board to communicate, because possession is very likely, listen very carefully, possession is very likely to happen when you host a seance. And possession is rare, but it does happen. I'll admit that. Possession is rare, but it does happen. You can communicate, listen very carefully. You can communicate anytime during the year, but on Samhain, tomorrow, October 31st especially, the lines are open to freely communicate with loved ones. I have told you, which is already, how to make the decision if a loved one is actually a loved one and not a spirit pretending or acting like a loved one to try to trick you. So go back and rewatch that from the first broadcast. When communicating with loved ones, you can tell them things that you didn't get a chance to tell them while they were alive. You can say I love you. You can say goodbye. You can reconcile with them. You can make peace with them if they are deserving of it. If they are deserving of it. You can tell them how much you love them, how much you miss them. Listen, I get it. I know a lot of people have regrets when a loved one has died. Maybe they didn't get a chance to say goodbye, or maybe they had an argument with that person the last time they saw them when they were alive. Maybe they want to have some type of reconciliation. Maybe they want to say I'm sorry. Maybe they want to say I was wrong. Maybe they want to say I miss you, I love you, I wish you were still here. Samhain is the perfect time. October 31st is the perfect time to do so. Tell them what's going on in your life. They will hear you. They may or may not appear physically in front of you, but they hear you. Because like I said over and over again, October 31st is when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, so it's easier to communicate with loved ones that have passed away before you. So tell them, have reconciliation. Tell them how much you miss them. Tell them how much you love them. Say sorry. Make peace. Only if they are deserving of it. Because what do I always say? What have I been saying all throughout October? Write it down in the comments and let me know. But I'll tell you what I've been saying. If a person died in bitterness, they are bitter in the afterlife. Why? Because there is no expiration date on disrespect. That's why. That's why. Oh, very quickly, I want to tell you I will be doing ritual number 2 tonight also. Just remember that. Yeah. There are 3 rituals. We did a ritual last night, and we have another ritual after the conclusion of this broadcast. So we had 3 rituals. We had one yesterday. We will have one tonight, and we will have a 3rd ritual tomorrow on Samhain. I just wanted to get that out there before I forget. So going back to what I was saying, yeah, Samhain is the perfect time to make amends with loved ones and pets that have passed away before you. And like I said about your pets, yeah, it hurts the same way. Losing a pet is just like losing a human. It is. It's the same as losing a human. Now, there is some safety precautions that you need to take on Samhain. Yes, there are safety precautions you need to take on Samhain. Okay? Remember, Samhain is a time when spirits can roam the earth freely. Samhain is a time for spirits to roam the earth freely. Okay? So this means that the airwaves are heavy with communication with most of the world trying to reach loved ones. All right? You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. The first rule is moderation. The first rule is moderation. Do not pester or annoy the dead. Do not pester or annoy the dead. What? The dead does not linger around just for you on Samhain. The dead does not linger around just for you on Samhain, tomorrow, October 31st. They do have other loved ones that they want to see besides you. So you might make contact with a loved one tomorrow, but that loved one or pet may not stick around for the whole night. They may leave to go see other relatives, not just you. So don't get offended. Don't think they have a problem with you because they love. They just want to go see other loved ones. The second rule is you have to defend yourself. Why? Because there is so much supernatural activity tomorrow. October 31st, tomorrow, Halloween, Samhain, is the air, the energy is saturated with the supernatural. You need to defend yourself. You need to defend yourselves, witches. You will need to cast what I believe is a shield charm around you. Ask your chosen deity, chosen god or goddess to protect you while you are doing your magical workings, to not have anything negative come into your magical circle and cause you harm. Okay? Concentrate everything. Purify everything that you will be working with. Visualize a impenetrable shield of light, or visualize you in a body of armor surrounding what you wish to protect, including yourself. You are most important. Your crystals, your candles are not more important than protecting yourself. Okay? I would say this affirmation that I wrote down, and of course you can make up your own, but the affirmation that I say for protection is this: only good spirits may enter here. This path is closed to evil. They cannot come this way. I will say this again: only good spirits may enter here. This path is closed to evil. They cannot come this way. I would suggest you say this or your own affirmation 3 times. You can scatter what I believe is very strong protective substances such as burnt matches, pepper, of course salt, or cumin around your workspace for more protection. If at any time, listen witches, if at any time you feel afraid or you feel frightened or you feel nervous or on edge, immediately stop what you are doing. Immediately stop what you are doing. Doing witchcraft should never cause you to be afraid. Doing witchcraft should never cause you to feel afraid, ever. That is feeling that way is your intuition telling you that it's time to jump ship. It's time to stop doing witchcraft. Your intuition, like I always say, is your inner compass. Your intuition knows what's up before you do. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your intuition, witches. When communicating with spirits, you should never feel threatened. If you feel threatened when communicating with a loved one or a pet, that is not your loved one. That is not your pet. Because your loved one, your pet, would never make you feel threatened. Communicating with spirits, doing witchcraft, should never make you feel threatened. You should never feel like you are in immediate danger. Ever. Ever. You just dismiss everything you have brought into your circle. You bring down your circle, how you do it, and stop for the night. The third rule is intention. Intention. The third rule is intention. Now listen very carefully. Intention determines potential. Intention determines potential. And by talking to your loved one for the purpose of sharing ideas, what else? And enjoying each other's company, another door is open in which brand new, and I do mean brand new awareness that was not accomplished in this life is gained. Is gained. Is gained. That can benefit the living and that can benefit the deceased. It can be beneficial to you and your loved one, ancestor, or pet that have predeceased you. Now, there are some methods to communicating with loved ones that have passed away before you. One way is what is called spirit writing, especially if you love to write anyway. It's called spirit writing. Listen, spirit writing is also known as automatic writing. Spirit writing is also known as automatic writing. But there is a warning though. This type of communication, listen very carefully, this type of communication can be dangerous. So remember to stop right away if you feel afraid. You want to begin this type of communication by inviting the spirit to write a message through you. So you hold a pen or a pencil, something to write with, but most likely a pen, because a pencil would break. So hold a pen or a pencil in your hand above a large sheet of paper, maybe a poster board paper. It has to be a large piece of paper, okay? So that you have enough space, so you're not going off the edge of the table. So you let your hand move around freely. You let your hand move around freely. And you want to avoid, I would suggest strongly that you avoid reading the message as it is being written, and you close your eyes when your pencil or pen stops moving. And then you try to read what the message says. Now, listen, the message might make sense, or it could just be a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of gibberish. It depends. It really depends. Sometimes the markings will look like chicken scratches and make no sense. If that happens, the attempt was not working. It was not successful, all right? Other times, you will read something that makes sense. You will read something that you know your ancestor or loved one would say Even if it says just hello or I love you. Spirit writing, automatic writing is used mostly to contact a loved one. Someone that you knew in life. Someone that you had a relationship with in life. That's important. With reading a message, it is normal for words to be misspelled or to be backwards, because remember, they're technically dead. So they don't have a physical body. So their writing is not going to be perfect. All right? So if you see some words misspelled or see some words backwards, don't dismiss it as not being a loved one or not being an ancestor. Remember, they don't have a body anymore. They're not flesh and blood like you and I. So it's a little bit difficult to respond back. And like I said, it takes a lot of energy for a ghost or spirit to manifest. That's why you have to be a good reader. Okay? And you must not communicate with more than one spirit at a time, because that causes confusion. That causes a lot of confusion, all right? Because that can launch you into a dangerous situation, or even possibly on very rare occasions, a life and death situation. Another method of communicating with the dead is called candles. Looking into the flame of a candle. Candle scouring. Am I saying that word right? Candle scouring? I hope I am. I'm pretty sure I am. Okay. Candle scouring is very similar to looking into a crystal ball, right? The difference is that fire is safer and much more effective way of communicating with spirits, because it's the element of fire. Clear quartz crystals do come from the earth and do represent the element of earth, but fire is something a little bit more physical. Why? Because fire can burn you. Fire is hot. Fire hurts. Fire causes pain. Fire gets a reaction out of you if you touch it. So fire is much more, it's stronger. It's stronger. Using crystal balls can trap spirits, and it will be very difficult to remove them once they have taken up residence in your home. Okay? The first thing you want to do is relax. Be relaxed. Don't have distractions. And you have to clear your mind of interfering thoughts and interfering emotions. Gaze into the flame of the candle. The color choice of the candle is entirely up to you, but I suggest, in the spirit of the season, I would use a orange or black candle. And you have to occasionally blink your eyes to avoid putting stress on them, to avoid straining them. And then you ask your loved one or ask your pet that have predeceased you to join you and allow yourself to be entranced, to be hypnotized by the flame. You want to do this when you are not sleepy. All right? You want to be awake for this. You will receive visions through the flame, as though you were having a lucid dream, and the dead, your loved one, may send you images of themselves or important, significant information you need to be aware of. How do you know? You test the spirits. You keep asking the spirit or spirits questions that your loved one would only know. You can ask questions and they will be answered by the flickering of a flame. Just ask. Test the spirits. Test the spirits. So a flame that is getting bigger, a flame that is growing is a yes answer. A flame that is getting smaller or about to go out is the answer of no, right? When you are done with the conversation, I suggest that you snuff out the candle with either a candle snuffer or by putting a ceramic plate on top of the flame. But don't blow it out though, because if you blow it out, you might actually be blowing those spirits into your home. And like I just said, it's hard to get ghosts out of your house, all right? And you can keep it lit for a little while, but of course, you know to never go to sleep with a candle lit. That's a big no-no. Do not go to sleep with a candle lit. I don't care if it's being used for witchcraft. It's still a candle. Candles that are lit still light things on fire. Okay? Another thing you can do is what is known as spirit painting. If you are a painter, I can't paint, so I don't do this. But you can if you are a painter. This is called spirit painting. Spirit painting is a lot like spirit writing or automatic writing. It's a way to create artwork. It's a way to create artwork with the parts of loved ones. So what you do is you get out your crayons, your paint, and allow your hand to go wherever it wants to go on the canvas. Images will be sometimes, not all the time, but images will be visible when the painting, the drawing, the sketch is finished. Let me say this. Do not do any of these methods that I just told you on the grounds of a graveyard or a cemetery. No, don't do that. Because you do not want to have to explain to the police, because yes, the police will be called, what you are doing. Communicating with departed loved ones or departed past on this day, tomorrow, Samhain, October 31st, can bring a lot of closure that you may not have been able to do when your loved one or pet was still here. So Samhain, I said this so many times, but it's still true. Samhain is also a time to get closure if you have lost a loved one in the previous months, or the previous years, or the previous decades, or the previous half a century. Samhain can also be a time to get closure. You speak to them the same way you used to in life. You recall jokes that they used to tell, or jokes that they used to love, and stories that they shared. You can bury their favorite food near a tree that you have planted in their memory. You can't bury food or bury things on their grave, because then you're going to be asked to leave by the graveyard keeper or simply be arrested by the police. So you can't bury their favorite food near a tree that you have planted in their memory. Just know that wherever they're at, they are exactly where they are supposed to be. Wherever your loved one or pet is after they have passed away, a good place, a bad place, they are exactly where they are supposed to be. They are at their final destination. Now I want to talk a little bit about Summerland. Summerland is our afterlife. Summerland is the pagan's afterlife. Summerland is what comes after our lives as pagans, as witches have come to an end. Death for us as witches is just a transition. I said this before. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. That's how we know there is life after death. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. You and I right now are made up of energy. You and I right now are made up of matter. Matter is anything that takes up space. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. That's how we know there is life after death. For us as witches, death is a doorway leading from this life into the next life, where a person continues what they have been doing in this life. It's just a continuation, but not in this world, not on this plane of existence. Now, when it comes to Summerland, Summerland is not a place of punishment or reward. Summerland for us as witches is not a place of punishment or reward. There is no, in Summerland, there is no supreme being waiting for you to die, to condemn you, or to you go into heaven. There is no internal suffering in Summerland. Death, lots of people don't like to talk about death because death can be uncomfortable. Death can be hard to talk about. But death happens to all of us. Death will happen to you and me. It's unavoidable. Everything dies. But like I just said, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Death for witches, because witches, I feel, really do understand death as a tradition, a transition, and what you get in the next life. Listen very carefully. What you get in the next life is what you have prepared yourself while living this life. If you have sought out, if you have seek wisdom and wholeness in this life, right now, as we speak and as we are gathering here live, if you have seeked out wisdom and wholeness in this life, then you will continue this quest in the next life, in the afterlife, in Summerland. If you wasted this life, if you pissed this life away on trivial or mundane pursuits, you will end up on the other side with no idea of what is happening. So this brings us to the other world, the underworld. The other world is the land of the deceased. It is the land of the dead. It is the land of those who have passed away before you. And it's very close to our own. That's why I say the veil. It is just a veil that separates the living and the dead. It is just a veil that separates the living and the dead, which is, please pay attention. Please get this. It is very close to our world. It is separated by just a veil, okay? The world of the dead and living will never merge. The world of the dead and the living will never merge. The living and the dead will never live among each other. They can visit, but they will not live together. So that means also that the living has no ownership over the dead. The dead has no ownership over the living. It will forever be two different places. Our world and the other world, the underworld, will always be two different places. Always. They will never become one. Here, in the present, here in the now, is referring to the dead. Sorry. No. Here right now in the present is referring to the living, flesh and blood like you and I. There, the other side is in reference to the dead. to the deceased. To the deceased. So this is everything to do with part 2 of this 3 days of Samhain. We meet again tomorrow. Yay! Tomorrow being Samhain, tomorrow being Halloween. And now I'm going to show you a second ritual that you might have seen before, that you might have heard before, but I want to show you in person. So let me quickly turn the camera around and show you this ritual that I've used. It works. Other witches have used it, and this may be your first time seeing it. You might have seen it before and you just need to be reminded how powerful this spell is. So let's get started. All right, witches, so I'm going to show you this spell to have good luck. Like I said, you might have seen this spell online or seen me perform this spell in years going by, but I'm going to show you again for the purpose of today, All Hallows Eve. This is called a Egyptian good luck spell. You need a sheet of paper. On this sheet of paper, you need a pen or marker or a pencil. On the piece of paper, you are going to write your name. Your name, let me just show you. Your name. So my name is Autumn. Autumn. I am not going to give my birthday to protect my privacy, so you write down your birthday. So I'm going to use a random birthday. Let's see. How about October 30th? Since today is October 30th. October 30th. It's your choice if you want to add the year of your birth, but I'm not going to. Then you need to draw yourself having your wish, having good luck come to you. I'm not a great artist. I'm not an artist at all. I'm going to draw a stick figure, which is passable. So draw my head. Draw a dress, then draw legs, give myself a face, try to anyway, give myself hair, that's the best I can do. Now, what is your wish? Your wish can be anything. Anything that you want. So I draw money in a house. And don't think that you are being materialistic. No, if you want money, if you want a house, then draw that then. So I'm going to draw money in a house. Money, I want 20s and 50s and 100s. So that's what I'm going to draw. $20, $50s, $100s, and now I'm going to draw a little house. So you can draw more than one thing. The next thing you are going to do is draw a circle around the image that you have drawn. Draw a circle for unity, then a star for the heavens, now a square, and a triangle for protection. Now you can draw your favorite symbols or write down anything else that you want. So let's say you want clothes, cars, maybe fame, maybe food, maybe jewelry, maybe husband, wife, maybe shoes. Now be sure that you are really thinking about all of these things that you are doing. Be sure that you are thinking about all these things coming to you. It should look very similar to this. Now you can keep the paper and use the paper as a charm, but I recommend as witches to burn it to send the smoke up to the universe to be looked over by Hecate, and then given to you as you do real world action. So I'm going to burn it. I have my little cauldron here and my lit candle right here. Can y'all see that? I'm going to fold it fold the paper, here we go. Then I'm gonna burn it. What you do with the ashes is up to you. You can take it off your property and bury it, or bury it on the property if you want to keep the intention close to your heart. So this is burning. I folded it so small because I don't want a big flame. Just visualize everything you wrote down coming to you. Why? Because You're a witch and you deserve everything that you want. You deserve the desires of your heart. And along with your real world action, you are going to get it. I'm looking forward to your reports of how your spells are working, because you are working, witches. You are putting real world action behind every single spell, ritual, hex, and curse. And we are done. All right, witches, so this was day 2 of the 3 days celebrating Samhain, the largest Sabbath on the witches calendar. And I will meet with you witches again tomorrow live here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as we finally celebrate the Sabbath known as Samhain, and we celebrate the witches' new year. I will see you witches live tomorrow again at 6 p.m. Turn on notifications to be alerted to when I've gone live so you don't miss anything, and I will see you then. Bye everyone.